Jim Davis joins us to talk about his past, present, and future of MTG and Riftbound. Walmart has a little oopsie with its packs early on, and some of the packs are giving out incorrect rarities. We talk about all this and more on this week's episode of The Winning Point.
We're here, Cass. We finally convinced a guest to actually come on the show. This is don't freak out, man. Don't freak out.
If you don't move, his vision is based on movement.
Yes, this is the Jim is the Predator arc that is happening here on The Winning Point, episode number 21. I am Blevins, that is Casanova, and as we loosely alluded to here earlier, we have got the one, the only Mr. Jim Davis. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
What's up, folks? Happy to be here.
Super excited to have you here, Jim. We're going to be talking with you about Riftbound, your past, all that good stuff in just a second here. But Cass, first, we've got some announcements, some housekeeping. Take it away.
Yes. First of all, our giveaway is still going on. We're giving away 3 of those Arcane promo box sets. If you go over to the Turnham side Twitter, you'll be able to find all of the details. But of course, it is 18 plus US and Canada only. Sorry to everybody, but there's a lot of ways to enter. Just go ahead and look at us on Twitter/X, whatever, and you'll be able to find all the details there. Other than that, we will be at SCG Con Las Vegas, November 21st through the 23rd. There is a $10,000 Riftbound tournament on the 23rd. We will be providing the coverage for that on the Turnham Sideways YouTube channel. So get excited for that. There's going to be one of the first, if not the first, I think it is the first kind of big Riftbound tournament in the United States. And I think that is going to be just massive. So make sure to tune in for that. On top of that, we just got back from Toronto hanging out with our friends at Invasion Cards and Collectibles. And it is we've got some amazing videos coming out with that, including a pack opening of 1,500 Riftbound packs that we ripped through to help them out for their singles opening. They've got a single shop, but we did get to record all of that footage, and it is amazing. So that is it for the announcements, Blevins. Let's kick it off.
Yeah, Jim, that was if you're missing this on YouTube, you should go to the Term Sideways YouTube. But we got to see Jim's live reaction to 1,500 packs being opened. That is a look of I did not think that was an amount that you could actually open. But again, Jim, thank you so much for being here. Just my background a little bit. I have been watching you on SCG Opens we were talking on Discord before this, a long time. You've been on the SCG tour way back in the day when that was the cool thing to do, and that was coverage back then. That was MTG. If it wasn't the Pro Tour, it wasn't a Grand Prix. It was every weekend was an SCG Open. And back in my day when I actually used to play, those were the regional events that you went to if it wasn't a Grand Prix or Pro Tour type thing. Give us a little, give the viewers here who maybe aren't familiar with your past here, your sort of past in Magic and in other TCGs, if it's there.
Yes, I've been playing Magic, pro Magic on and off now for well over 20 years. I started playing back in 2001 when I was in high school. I'm really, really old. I'm older when I look. And first Pro Tour was in 06, and kind of been on and off the Pro Tour, in the last 20 or so years. Those big SG Tour days were awesome. That was kind of what got me back into Magic, where I did the Pro Tour stuff, kind of fell off the Pro Tour and kind of got a little disillusioned, went back to school and stuff. And then Star City got me back in, and I was super hooked. I won their Players Championship in 2015. I was I'm one of the most winning players on the tour. Also one of the persons who's played the most events on the tour. Also, quantity does a lot for quality. But yeah, those days are great. And then it's funny because when I was graduating school at the time, I won the Players Championship. And I went into that event all right, I've been grinding a lot of Magic. I got to be serious about school. I'm going to totally about grad school. This Player's Chance to be my last major big Magic event for a while. I'm going to focus more on school. Then I won, and then I won $20,000. And I was all right, I got a little money in the bank. Let me try content for a year, you know? And luckily here I am. So I'm very, very fortunate to do what I do. I've been doing content since then full time. So over 10 years in the content biz full time, doing YouTube, Twitch, streaming, basically everything at this point. I do limited and constructed these days. This year I picked up doing commentary for the Star City events that are happening now, the regional championships and the Spotlight series, which is super fun. I kind of queued for the Pro Tour by accident again in like 2002 on stream.
Well, it's just an easy thing to do, just by accident.
I was just streaming a qualifier and I won it. And then that Pro Tour, I went undefeated in the Swiss. So I top 8 at my first Pro Tour, which is super cool. That got me queued for more Pro Tours and more Pro Tours. And now that I was more connected, I got on with the team CFB and friends with like Reed Duke and Seth Manfield and all them, and like played every Pro Tour for the last like 3 years up until the beginning of this year when I fell off, which is really, really cool. And was like, all right, I'm off the Pro Tour, started to do commentary, do my content thing. And my content's like my number one gig. Pro Tour was almost more for fun. And then I qualified again a few months ago. So now I'm back on the Pro Tour. It's really cool. So yeah, so Magic through and through. And it's kind of cool because Riftbound, I got into it because a good friend of mine, Frank Scaron, is one of the main designers. And Frank, has talked to me about Riftbound before in the past, and it sounded pretty cool. But I was like, I'm not a person who usually tries new games. Like when you're a Magic player, you're a Magic player usually, like through and through. But Frank was like, hey, we have a possible contract position to come in and do some consulting work, some playtesting work and stuff. And I was like, that sounds incredible. So cool. So my first experience playing was mostly playing with Frank a little bit with like the intro decks and then going to Riot and working on the game. And I can't discuss too much about it, obviously, but it's interesting that I've played the Riftbound I've played is very different than what most people have played because I've been doing, work with them. I've been there 4 times now for these like week-long like playtesting sessions. And I can't wait to discuss what we're working on there, but really, really cool, and the game is honestly great. I really, really think the game engine's phenomenal. I know nothing about League of Legends, nothing, nada. I watched Arcane and that was it. So it's interesting to me where when people are giving feedback in Riot, some folks are like, oh, this card is particularly resonant or not resonant. And I'm like,
no idea.
The text makes phonetical sense. Thank you.
Yeah, seems cool to me. It seems fun. But yeah, so that got me really excited about Riftbound, doing the contract work. And, now, there's events coming up and cards coming out. And like, I'm sort of transitioning myself from this, internal Riftbound mindset of like, a lot of the things that I have played with don't exist or aren't going to exist or whatever else, to now there's Riftbound product in the real world, which is kind of cool. I actually have on my desk, they gave us 2 times ago my first ever Riftbound pack. You want to see it?
Ooh, I sure do.
Yeah.
So it was a Chinese pack. They gave it to us, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, and I got a little lucky. So I got a Jinx, some stuff, but I opened it overnumbered. This is Leona, right?
That's crazy.
Legend.
Wow.
Yeah. So and when I opened it, like I had no idea, obviously. And everyone was like, "Oh, you're an overnumbered." Everyone like, "Is that good?" Cool.
Your first pack is just the chase, basically. I mean, not signed, but still.
Right, it wasn't signed. Yeah, they were like, if it was signed, it'd be insane.
Also,
and I'm like,
it's Leona, so it's not.
It's one of the weaker legends, but pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm pumped for Riftbound. I'm gonna go down to the event in Houston. I'm playing that first event, which is super cool. In Vegas, I'll be in Vegas, but I'm doing commentary for the RC for Magic. But I'm hoping some side events on Friday. So I'll be there Friday usually, and we should have like our production meeting. So hopefully I'll play a little paper Riftbound then, which is super fun. And I have some decks printed out. I haven't played a lot of like real Riftbound as far as like the metagame decks. But last time I was at Riot, Frank had printed out some like the Kaisa, Master Yi, and like some of like the meta decks. So I played those a little bit. And I'm just excited. The game's really, really sweet. I also told Frank and Dave and them at Riot that they could not have picked a better time to release a game because Magic is like, he's going through some there's always swings, and Spider-Man's a mess and Standard's a mess. And so they're coming in at a great time for the release. Everyone's really pumped about it. I am too.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you talk about how excited you are for it. So you've been doing Magic for so long and you do Magic content creation, but what are your plans for Riftbound in the future? Is that something you're looking at as maybe a content angle now that you've kind of worked on the game, but you're excited about this second kind of chance to start the game, right? You played the internal stuff. Now it's the external. So like, where does that potentially lead for you? Is there content dreams, specific things you want to do, or is it more like competing?
Yeah, actually, so competing is like secondary, even with Magic, like, I don't play that many events anymore. Like, and for me, when I was playing in the Pro Tours and I'm playing the Pro Tours again, that's like a vacation for me, where I would almost treat it like, this is for me. I'm going to take a week, go to the Pro Tour, prepare for the event, and kind of like put content aside for a little bit and have a little me time, basically, So
that's great.
When I have time to do that, I will, which is fun for Riftbound if I get a chance to play. But yeah, content-wise, I actually am working on a YouTube channel for Riftbound. I'm seeing it as a pretty cool opportunity to kind of try and do a channel from the ground up. whereas my Magic content is almost primarily all gameplay content. I do some reaction videos and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's gameplay content. I have my main channel where I play Constructed on Arena, and then I have a draft channel called Bronze to Mythic where I draft a lot. But gameplay content is not necessarily like what YouTube really wants. What YouTube really wants is like the 15-minute long video, really well edited, high production value, which takes a lot of resources.
Cass, are we taking notes?
What's up?
I was saying, Cass, are we taking notes on what YouTube wants for video?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so there's an opportunity here. I think the game's really popular. I think the game has the perfect elements of, I think most importantly is the core game engine is just excellent. I think that the game really does a great job of not being afraid to take the good stuff from other games and not like just trying to do things differently for the sake of doing things differently. It's just like, hey, like Magic's mana system is really, really sweet. We can make it a little better. We can keep some of the good things, whatever, like Marvel Snap has these cool location things. Cool. We can kind of do that. Hearthstone has this legend thing, and kind of taking it all and putting it into a really awesome package, which is great. So with the core engine, I think having Riot behind them, which is a huge company, a lot of resources, is great. The IP is great. Lots of excitement. Their OP plans are really, really good. So yeah, I'm excited to make some content for the game, to try and do some kind of fun, like YouTube-based stuff. The channel goal is to be like the Tolarian Community College of Riftbound, which is a very, very lofty goal, which I recognize. But so we're working on it. It's all kind of in the works right now, and I'm excited for it. It's a lot of work, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, obviously we are in a similar boat where we're like, hey, this Riftbound thing is awesome. Let's do stuff with it. And here we are on the on the podcast. I'm kind of curious, and you talked about it, you touched on it here. I guess, is there any, maybe go a little bit more into, why Riftbound for this expansion? You bring up the good point that many Magic players are not gamers, they're Magic players, right? Like people always introduce me to their friends, like, oh, this person's a gamer, you're going to get along with them. And I'm like, yeah, but like, I don't play Call of Duty. I play card games on the internet. So, and for what it's worth, there's been a lot of really good TCGs and other strategy games that have a lot of the things that Riftbound may have had. Is there anything else, or, what is sort of pushing you into wanting to do more with Riftbound?
I think it's the full package. I think it's the idea that a lot of times games, there'll be some small developer has a pretty cool idea for a game, but their backing isn't good enough. And the problem with a paper card game is that like you need to get over the hump. It's kind of like, I likened it to like an internet forum back in the day, where you have like this forum, and if you don't get over that initial hump of having some activity, people go see an empty forum and they leave, So having the backing of a large company and the IP and the ability to really kind of get over that initial hump, get players playing so people can walk into a store and say, hey, what is this? There are people actually playing in the store. That's a really hard thing for most games to do. But with Riot backing them with the IP, having Arcane be a show that's accessible is like huge. I've been dying for a Magic the Gathering show for 20 years or whatever. It hasn't happened yet. Because look at Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, why are those games so popular? Like, Pokemon's not really a very good game. Like I've played it before. I showed my kid it. However many years ago. But the show is good. And the reason why people want to collect it is because they love the show. I love the characters. So having Arcane and then League as the game to do that is really, really important. So it's just like a confluence of factors, where I see a game that can actually have some traction, still be there in 5 and 10 years, which a lot of these new games just don't have. Yeah. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, that is, I mean, you hit all the things that caused us to start this show. I mean, on top of we come from Legends of Runeterra, as a lot of our viewers do as well.
Well, it's funny because I feel like the Runeterra community is unhappy with Riftbound in some ways. Where I've talked to people who have been like,
schism.
Oh, I love Runeterra.
There is a schism. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up?
It's a schism. It's like half the community is like so stoked, excited for it, and the other half are these exact people you're talking about that you said you talked to and are maybe not as happy about the idea of it coming out.
Right. They see the rotting carcass of the game they used to love, and realistically, all of the art and the names are the same, right? And Riftbound probably wouldn't exist if Riot didn't already have all of these assets, because art's expensive, design's expensive and stuff. So being able to kind of use that to piggyback into Riftbound is probably why it exists, So I never played Runeterra. Again, Frank Scarron's a good friend of mine, and he actually was one of the designers in that game as well. And I kind of just like never played it. I don't know. I'm a Magic player. I just never had a reason to play. I considered having Frank on and to show me the game and stuff, but I don't know. I just never did. So
yeah, I mean we won't go too deep into Runeterra, but I do think it does lead into the things that I'm really excited about with Riftbound. Obviously, Cass and I were about as ingratiated in Runeterra as two people possibly could be. Our job for multiple years was involved heavily invested in Legends of Runeterra. But it does what it boils down to is that a lot of digital TCGs miss the gathering part of Magic the Gathering. Right. And when you're old like I am, and you remember driving to Grand Prix, 8 hours away, and like I don't remember how my buddies did in those events unless they won the event. But I do remember the car rides where we would prank each other, and like the night where we had to wake up in the middle of the night before, the day before a Grand Prix because someone pulled the fire alarm. Like I remember those stories. And that's the gathering part. And Riftbound, on top of all the things that you said, on top of a great game, a great system, Riot backing, all that stuff, does allow the gathering part of Magic the Gathering to be combined with the backing of Riot and the IP of Riot, which obviously we're very invested.
It's a good point, right? Like I've met more Legends of Runeterra players playing Flesh and Blood than I ever did playing Legends of Runeterra, right? So there's that element, and when it comes to Riftbound, it'll be the same thing, right? You'll meet more of these people that I would talk to them online all the time, and the online friendships are still valuable and they are important things, but it doesn't trade that exactly what you're talking about, Blev, of the stories you get when you actually meet up with people in person. A big friend Majin Bay, plenty of stories that we've had playing Flesh and Blood together, and eventually with that'll come out through.
That's true. Most of my Majins. Go ahead, Jim.
I'm almost happy that Riftbound doesn't have an online client, which is like it's split. Where the content creator part of me is like, I mean, I would like to play some games with Riftbound and be able to stream it. That's pretty fun. But at the same time, it's like it's the idea of like restriction breeds creativity, where there isn't an online client. Okay, well, this game looks pretty cool. What do we got to do? I guess go outside, go in the sunlight, touch grass, go to a local game store. Because I think that like, local game stores, in-person paper play of various games has struggled in the last 5 or so years, since COVID especially, where like COVID really killed a lot of the momentum that had, where part of people's routines was every Friday I go to the game store and hang out with the crew and we play some games, and like that aspect of it is awesome. Like I cherish those days of like F&M where like, I was in my early 20s. I would not miss an F&M for anything. I would miss PTQ for anything. Every Saturday I was getting up at 5 a.m. to drive to Pennsylvania and playing some qualifier or whatever, and like that was awesome things. And it's weird because like as you get older, those are harder to do. And I think that one of the problems Magic has had in recent years is that, I mean, A, they're pushing more towards collectibles, but B, they're not growing the younger audience at all. And those younger players are the hungry ones who will, go to F&M every week and so on and so forth. And kind of, they get to have that experience too. So seeing Riftbound be this game where like, if I want to play, I got to go out is a double-edged sword, where a part of me is like, I remember leaving one of the Riot, gigs or whatever, and coming home being like, this game's pretty sweet. How am I ever going to play it? I'm just really, really busy, like going to a local game store these days for F&M is not what I do anymore, because I just play Magic full time, but, and like, I don't have a lot of time. How am I going to play? I guess my wife plays games. I play with her, I guess, but like, it's kind of fun thinking about that, but it kind of gets you going of like, okay, I'm going to go to an event. I guess I'm going to go, explore out and see what people are doing. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's a weird, there's a double edgedness to it of at the same time, I would love to just jam some games and play and practice this event, but also, if you put in the work, not everyone will have 10,000 games under their belt before this first event, So I don't know. It's kind of fun seeing both sides of it too, but it's unique and exciting in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's like maybe we'll see some of that like creativity that you could see in old card games or like old tournaments where there was no online play before, and someone shows up with an actual legitimate rogue deck. And yes, there's a lot of testing that happens still on TTS. Like people are playing the game. It's still going to be hard for this to happen. But I think it's more possible than many other games in recent history. And this may not be answerable for you, but I wanted to throw it out there because I've heard like some people that had been part of those playtests that you mentioned have publicly mentioned they thought these other decks might have been good or better than they have been. And I was wondering if there's like a legend that you felt was really strong in a lot of the internal tests that has not really like popped up yet in the competitive tournaments as far as being a top deck. Because we're really seeing Kai'Sa, Yi, and I mean, kind of that's it. Like we have a few other big gap, everything else. Is there like a legend you think is like really, really good that maybe people are sleeping on?
It's hard to say because like I haven't really played real Riftbound. You know, like I've been playing,
yeah, of course,
and things I can't really talk about and stuff. And like it's not when I went to the real world, you know, and looking at like the decks people are playing and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm surprised they're not playing this or playing that or whatever. You know, and like it's kind of interesting in that way. I think Yi being like a starter card that's like actually really good is really weird from like just a general like game perspective of like, you know, in Magic, you get your starter deck, the rares of Visage Rex, like a vanilla 6/6 for 7. Yes. And it's funny because like as a new player that confused me because I was like, wait, the gold symbol means rare, but this card's really bad. It doesn't have the abilities. I don't get it, you know? So seeing starter cards that are actually good is definitely an interesting one. And it's kind of fun to see that shake out in the real world. But yeah, you know, honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't really have a good answer for you.
No, that's okay. I look, I expect that sometimes is the case, right? Because it is a different game that you ended up getting to play. And I mean, you said you're going to play Houston, though. Have you immediately had some thoughts on like, are you just going to be Kai'Sa Yi build, or are you going to be really in the mines digging for something that might be even better?
I'm not sure yet. You know, like the Kai'Sa decks are cool. You know, like it's kind of like, you know, a lot of like agency interaction, like cantrips and removal spells and stuff, which is fun. I've played Kai'Sa. I've played like a few games of Kai'Sa so far. I haven't even played Yi yet. I just haven't like, you know, we played the Temu deck. Me and Frank played I played the Aurora deck, like what's her name? The bounty hunter.
Misfortune.
Misfortune.
Misfortune Aurora deck, which is pretty cool. You know, and like again, it's so weird playing these like tuned lists when you're designing or working on a game, everything you're playing is very experimental and very apt to change at any second. You know, there's a whiteboard, things change on the fly where it's like, this card does this now, right on the board, you know? So playing actual tuned decks is like it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like this is fun. So I haven't got to play a ton yet of like the real metagamey stuff. My typical like, you know, mode as a Magic player is I don't like playing the best deck. You know, I like kind of metagaming a little bit and being a little, you know, whatever. That can be good or bad at times, you know? The game is so young. You know, I'm curious if we're going to see some legend that people have been playing kind of break out or not. I don't know, you know, so I'm not far enough in to really know that. And honestly, like, I'm not going to test that much for Houston. I'm going to go, I'm going to, you know, hang out with Frank and them and you know, Aaron and PCL or whatever, and play some games, you know. You know, hopefully I'll have a pretty good deck, but like, I'm not going to be putting in like tens of thousands of hours, you know, because also you just kind of can't, you know, like without an online client, you know, and finding opponents that are worth playing against, you know, like, I'm going to teach my wife to play. My wife is really good at Magic. Like she doesn't get to play very often, but like she's like cashed multiple Grand Prix and stuff. And like, she's kind of like just quietly very good at games, but like it would take her 20 hours, 40 hours to like get to a level of the game where she's actually like really good, you know? So I don't know how I'm going to test, honestly, you know? And like time is actually a luxury I definitely don't have a lot of in my life. So I don't know. I'm going to play some games, pick a cool deck and you know, play and have some fun, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I do think, I mean, we saw this with Flesh and Blood too. Like, if you have a pedigree from other games, like you will be above even the people who have been playing who, you know, Riftbound, this is their first game, right? Like, I overhear a lot of things and see people talking about the game, and I'm like, oh, this is your first time being competitive in a game, and that's cool and that's awesome, and we all learn. But I'm like, yeah, you're making some assumptions that are maybe not going to lead to you winning as much as you may think they are.
It's fun too, though, because like I was showing Riftbound to my assistant, who's now was my part-time assistant, is now going to be my full-time assistant. His name is Ryan. He's helping me with the channel as well. And over the weekend, he was in Baltimore with me, and in between rounds of the Spotlight series, I showed him Riftbound. But I had like two pre-con decks that I built. It was like a Victor deck and a Jinx deck that I built, I don't know, a few months ago. Like printed out the cards. You know, they're not like they're just kind of like better than pre-cons, but not like meta decks.
Yeah.
And I show him the game. You know, I was telling him like, you know, the first game, it's pretty easy to learn your first game or two. I would say it takes about maybe 5 games to like just get a general feel for the flow of the game of like attacking, moving into a location, when to back out, when to kind of like set up, when to play things at a location or not and stuff. Maybe like, 5 games just to get to that general sense of the game. But it takes a lot more to actually like really pick up the strategy on it,
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, what's the average player's skill going to be at this Houston event? Are they going to be a bunch of players who've only played 30 games? Is it going to be people who are grinding in the trenches? Like, it's going to be so interesting. I don't know, and you're right. Like any person who's played any other game competitively, a good amount, is just going to be naturally good at this game. Like Seth Manfield came to one of the play tests. I don't know if you know Seth or not. He's, Magic World Champion.
I know
played
who
with him
he is,
on Team CFB for the last like few years. And in my bottom top dollar or whatever, Seth's like top 5 Magic player ever. Like he is unbelievably talented. He's one of those players where like, he's just so instinctually talented and smart. He can't always even always articulate why he's doing a thing he's doing, but it just like right so often, Seth came in. Seth had played the game for literally like 3 days, and by day 2 of the Riot thing or whatever, he was already like, Frank was like, "You're playing really, really well," and like that's just you're just good at games. You play games for a long time, There's that too. So it's interesting to see. It's gonna be a really, really fun event.
Yeah. For reference, for Flesh and Blood, I lost my winning in for top 8 at a Grand Prix level event for limited, and I had drafted the set twice.
Right.
And I'm not even that good at games. I'm not even that good at Flesh and Blood or Magic. Like I'm a solidly average player, maybe slightly above. But yeah, so I think some of these early events are going to be interesting, and it will be fun to watch the progression of players in Riftbound for sure. We do have some very interesting news that has come out in this week leading up to release. We didn't even mention that. By the time you listen to this, it's going to be just a few days away from
it'll
English
be like
release,
right before, day or two
you even
before.
have some cards in your hands. And if you are near a local Walmart, you may already have cards in your hands, as is the case with some other TCGs. As I've seen on the internet, Walmart got Riftbound packs in early. Some Walmarts did, at least. This is something that is not completely uncommon. We saw this with Lorcana and a few other TCGs, where basically the distributors for some of those big box stores, they don't either know or care about the actual street date. They just like get the product in. They need to get it out. They only come into the store, once every 2 weeks or a couple times a month. They put the product out and that's it. We got Riftbound in a lot of different Walmarts across the U.S. I can confirm that the local Walmart equivalent in the UK did not get Riftbound, at least. But yeah, we've been seeing a lot of different posts of people opening packs and getting product early. Cass, what are your initial thoughts on the fact that Walmart, people just walking into Walmart, opening up Riftbound a week and a half before release?
Yeah, I mean, it continued to generate even more hype, which is the nice side effect of it, I guess, is people were really like posting about FOMO, really can't wait for this weekend kind of thing. But also it took a little bit out of the thunder out of the like initial pack rips for the game just being launched. So there's like the double-edged sword. I know like in general it felt like Riot was not happy that this happened, and of course they would have liked the official date to come through, but it did create some really probably good memories for some amount of people who walked into their Walmart one day not even looking for Riftbound and stumbled into a bunch of packs. Unfortunately, it probably did also lead to some amount of scalping happening where someone saw it and then a bunch of scalpers saw the first post and just rushed to every Walmart to try and clear out the shelves. But hopefully it was more of the former and less of the latter.
Does make me a little interested to pop down to my local Walmart. I got an hour to kill later today. I'll swing over there and see what they got.
Yeah, I think it is double-edged, because I do think some number of people are potentially scalping, but at least the posts that I saw were like people just excited that they were able to get the cards, which is awesome, and they opened them. And what you do after you open the packs is like, do whatever you want with it, right? If you want to sell your excess cards, like I'm not gonna get mad at you. I mean, if you want to sell the packs too, I'm not gonna get mad at you. This is a shark in the pool situation again. It's like, just if the packs, if scalpers are charging too much for packs, just don't buy them. Like, just don't buy the packs. They'll be out in a week. You don't have to. Just stay out of the pool. The shark is in the pool. You don't need to be in the pool. But it is interesting because actually on the Nexus Cast podcast that they had Dave on, they asked Dave specifically about big box stores getting packs. And I don't know if he was just giving a PR answer or if he just didn't know. He was like, don't have anything to say about big box stores, but it's something that we've looked into. And then like 3 days later, it's revealed that Walmart like released them early. So what I will say is that this is a source of cards that people were not, or at least that I have not seen people talking about having access to in the world of potentially really limited amounts of cards at the beginning of Riftbound. So I think a lot of people have been really upset and concerned about the fact that we might just not have enough product to get off the ground, get over that hurdle, and have people have decks for release and for weekly events. But having Walmart's and theoretically other big box stores having product is another sort of nozzle of product that is going to get into people's hands.
I mean, I think you brought up Dave not wanting to spoil it as possible. They had a full content plan of like, wow, you can also go get product in Walmart and stuff, and it just kind of got foiled by Walmart putting it on the shelves, and that kind of reads as what maybe happened, which is definitely unfortunate for them. But I mean, it was not the only pack news we even had though, Blev, right? There was the UVS responding. There's some incorrect rarities in some of the packs. That's not the greatest start, unfortunately. It was promised that there was going to be 2 rares per pack, and some of them are having an additional common or uncommon foil in one of the rare spots, but it says that they're trying to make it right. They've put up an email for people to go to, but this is going to be a lot of packs being opened, and it's not a secret. We went up to Toronto. We helped an LGS open a ton of packs for their single sales, as LGSs tend to do prior to release. They'll open a bunch to get ready so that by the time the launch happens, you can immediately order singles. We helped them open a bunch, and I wasn't thinking about it at the time as we were opening things, but this absolutely happened. We opened plenty of packs that had this error, so I'm curious what their fix actually is. I don't really see a world that they can really write this, and I'm very curious what UVS wants to do.
Yeah. Jim, do you recall anything like this ever happening in Magic? I can't think of a time that there was like a huge, like fundamental print run error with booster packs in Magic or something that they were like, we will fix this at a like production level.
I mean, I'm sure it has. This is the kind of thing where like in the immediate right now, people are like, but like 3 months from now, no one's going to really remember this. I don't think, it's the kind of thing where, I feel for them, because they're any sort of large scale release like this, there's just going to be problems. You're trying to get, whatever 1 million booster boxes of Riftbound or whatever it is out to, tens of hundreds of thousands of stores. Now you have distributors, you go to Walmart, you don't just like bring the box to Walmart and get it there. It has to go to a distributor or this to that, to a warehouse, to this and that. There's just so many steps in the chain where like, seeing it on shelves 3 days, 4 days early is like, it's going to happen. You can't, I don't need to even imagine what the logistical nightmare would be and the costs would be to actually hit every date perfectly, So it's a little annoying. Everyone's hyped. Everyone's kind of high energy because it's the release. Everyone's super, super excited. But I think these are the kind of things that are like, all right, sure. And then with the, being one less rare in the pack, that sucks. I don't know. Like, play the balls that lies, like is one junk rare, was that different than one good uncommon? Who knows, so.
I see you've never dealt with people opening packs that they bought from you, Jim, because yes, they do care about that one junk rare.
I get it, I understand, and I'm glad that they care, and they're like trying, I don't know what the solution is, because what are you gonna do? Just like mail it a new pack, like, I don't know, and it's so hard. How do you quantify this? It's one thing if I have like. Hey, my rare came out folded in half. Can I have a new one? Sure. Yeah. But like, I just opened a bunch of packs and there weren't enough rares in them. How many? 100. Like,
so how do you prove it? How do you
right? It just like it sucks. It's not ideal. I get it, but I don't know. You know, like I'm just hyped to play the game. I'm also like, I come at all card games from a player's perspective. Like, I don't give a shit about curse. Sorry, I don't give a
you can curse on this podcast. You can totally curse on this
any collectory stuff.
Although I would prefer you said fooey though.
Yeah, you can edit that one in, you know. But yeah, you know, when it comes to like collectory stuff, I'm as a player. I want to play. Give me the base versions of all the cards. You know, I actually don't like in Riftbound that all the rares have to be foil. I just like. For Magic, I'm trained not to like foils, you know, and I just also just don't like them. I just want to play with the base. Most, you know, whenever I buy cards at a store, you know, I'm always like, I would like these cards, please. Base level, regular art, no foil, oldest version if you have it. You know, if it's beat up, I don't really care.
Just like me for real. Just like me for real.
Like I beat the crap out of my cards, you know, like so I don't really. You know, and we've seen it in Magic, you know, in the last 5 or 10 years, this real push towards secret layers and all these alternate arts and things, and like. I'm glad that exists. I think it's really, really cool to be able to monetize your game in a way where if I want to get the cool skins and pay up for that, I can do that. If that's my expression in the game, I want to have an all blinged out whatever deck. Great. Awesome. But I think the base level of the game being affordable is really, really important. And it seems like Riftbound for them, that is important to them too, which I think is great. You know, but like getting a deck into someone's hands for a relatively reasonable cost is awesome. Then bling it out, awesome too. So for me, like I have at that point of view. So for me, opening a pack and not getting exactly what I'm supposed to get or whatever, is kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna play anyway. Who cares? You know, like so.
Yeah. I have a tinfoil hat theory that they did this on purpose so that everyone would be recording their pack openings for redemption. So now they're just going to get a bunch of free content because everyone should be recording their pack openings to show that they opened one fewer rare.
But wouldn't you want to do it the other way then and put 3 rares in some packs?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that no one's going to record that then, though, because like, oh, well, you got an extra thing. We're not going to give you anything. But if you record your opening and it's 1 fewer rare, then we'll send you.
They'll send you a rare.
We'll send you another promo card that you don't want because there's 15 of them.
In Magic,
this is unlikely, but it's tinfoil hat is on.
In Magic, there was back in the day like the fabled like urban legend of like the God pack that was like 15 rares or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it did happen at some point. I don't know as to history. We'll have to know what it was or whatever. But that was a thing where people would be like, imagine getting a God pack or whatever. Let's open our pack, you know, like let's see if we get one or not. So that's like a fun mistake, you know, but I don't know.
Yep.
Or the what was it? The original Zendikar Hidden Treasures.
Right. Yeah. I was at that pre-release.
That was the original.
And I remember someone just like, I just opened a Scrubland. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I figured they were just joking. It was also a person like who was friends with who like always jokes around. And we're like, all right, you took a Scrubland out of your binder and said you opened it. You're hilarious. It's like, no, really, I really opened a Scrubland.
Really funny.
Yeah. So.
It's like not that good of a joke, but okay.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I guess, but
yeah. No, it's it'll be interesting. And I mean, people do love those God packs. They do that, I think, in Pokemon, and a lot of the anime games have like a God pack that they don't list officially, but does happen where it's like, oh, all like, you know, super crazy rarity. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I think realistically, if they were going to do something systematically, I would hope that they do something like hey, if you show up at your local game store, you can get a a promo or something.
Sure.
Like, we'll give you a promo. That would be cool. Cool low cost thing that's like kind of good for the community. Anyway, so we've got one last thing I want to talk about here before we get into our normal segments, and that is the fact that we got patch notes. Yes, and I specifically say patch notes for a physical card game because that's what Riot is calling these rules updates, calling them patch notes here. I'm not going to go into the specifics because there's actually a lot of changes, but we're getting some clarification, some errata, a few substantive changes, but for the most part, it's mostly clarifications here. But Cass, what are your thoughts on the fact that we're getting these like quick hit patch notes for a physical TCG?
I mean, okay, it's never going to be ideal, right? Like you want the game to, when you get the printed cards and you get the core rules and you just go from there, you should be able to play the game and not really have to worry about all this extra stuff. But it does feel like with the kind of rushing to get the game out and the translation issues from like the initial Chinese print, that it's necessary to do this. And because it's necessary, I'm glad they're being very quick with it and being very thorough. Once they found a few changes, they've then made sure that they're updating and trying to future-proof everything as much as possible. So I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm glad that they're making it more clear, because there's been plenty of times playing the game before the Chinese release and even after the Chinese release where we'd be playing a game on TTS and we'd have this interaction happen and we'd be like, what is supposed to happen here? And we'd go to the Discord and we'd like ping the rioters and be like, hey, what's supposed to happen here? And then we'd get two different answers, and then well, actually I don't know. And then it goes from there. And now we're getting more of these clarified rules, which at the end of the day, if once the game gets to the point where we can easily identify how something is supposed to work, that is just the best. And the fact that they're working towards that is great, and I approve. So I'm glad that they're at least putting this out and not afraid to make some adjustments when they notice something isn't working properly or not working how they wanted it to.
When they say patch notes, like I went over that document too. Like these are like rules clarifications, maybe a slight rule change. We're not talking about like editing the cards. Like what? No. Brain Bloom student should have one mic, not two. Like we're not like there aren't actual like edits per se. It is rules based, right? Yeah, and
there's been a few erratas, but mostly rules.
Okay, I will say, I can sympathize directly because, like, having been inside the building or whatever and watched some heated rules discussions, with a whiteboard absolutely covered and stuff, and like that designing a rules engine for a game is really, really difficult. You are creating a machine with so many moving parts, and then you go, oh, well, part Z interacts with part R in this weird way because Battlefield F is in this equation. Oh my God. And then you have to kind of stop and think. And then, the discussions get heated in there. It's pretty funny, honestly, because it's like, and this discussion is going to decide whether this rule works like A or B, and a lot of some of the feedback in Riot from us is like, hey, Jim, this happens here. What do you think should happen as a player? Because an outside viewing of like not looking mechanically, not looking at it from the programming code, just like, hey, A, B, and C happens as a player. What's your instinct as to what should happen? And that's a hard thing to do, to try and anticipate what the logical outcome of rules should be. So I sympathize, from having a little bit in the building, like it's not easy to do. Yeah. So I don't know. You're doing a pretty good job on it. So we'll see. But
yeah. I also think they're doing a really great job. Dave also on that same interview on Nexus Cast mentioned that they stylistically went for some linguistically easier wordings for cards, but that are not necessarily like super technical. Like Magic, very technical. If it says target, that means target. And if it doesn't, that means it is not target. Like choose is not target. Whereas like some of the cards say kill a unit, and there's actually more like text baked and rules baked into that they're like, yeah, but this is just how you'd say the card. And like, on the one hand, that's good because it looks better and it makes more logical sense for a new player. On the other hand, it's like you said, it's like, well, in this corner case, when you have this battlefield and this doesn't really make sense. You kind of get bit in those cases. And I lean a little bit more towards like, I have been doing the super technical, like in the weeds Magic rulings for forever. So that's just how my brain works now. It's like, it says target, it means target. And if you have the rule system clearly defined, I can figure out anything in Magic, with the exception of layers, because fuck layers. So I don't know. I think this is growing pains. I'm glad that they're doing this, and I'm excited to see where it goes from there. But
I will say, it's almost unfair to compare Riftbound to Magic or Flesh and Blood or any current game, because look at how Magic's rules were the first 5 years of the game. There were no rules. It's like a technical readout now, because if that's had 20, 30 years of massaging. But the first 5 or even 10 years of Magic, it was just like they had to rewrite the entire rule structure multiple times because the cards were so, well, it's trying to do this thing, but what if this happens, So it's cool to have, so many years of past card games to look onto, but it's still, when you're building from the ground up, it is really, really tough.
Yeah. And I think that's why I just like really love these technical articles and stuff that they're doing so early, right? To try and make sure that things are going to be good right away. And even the erratas, which it sucks that they have to be erratas, but like the erratas really just explain technically how the cards that they errated work. It's not like they're changing how that card fundamentally was supposed to function. It was just like the vibes code of the text that was on the card initially was not good enough, so they made sure that there is a document that says this is exactly what it's supposed to do, and maybe they can print slightly more clear in the future on the future sets, but the fact is that these documents make that easier for them to do in the future, and it's all positive.
Yeah, for the most part, the like TLDR of it is there's a couple things that actually have sort of substantively changed, like controlling battlefields during combat, and like that kind of changes how hidden cards work and changes how a few other cards work. But for the most part, it works the same, and now it like works structurally with some other cards, and like hidden cards are kind of in some corner cases slightly better or at least different. But for the most part, it works the same as it did. And I think moving forward, it will be better. This is also, again, like building the bones for set 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Like let's get as many of the kinks out as we can now. But this will certainly be an ongoing thing for Riftbound, and we'll be covering it ongoing as it comes up. But we're going to move on to one of our favorite segments here. This is brand new. Dave on Discord. We got some new Discord. Dave jumped on in the Discord. Got some questions here. So this is, of course, from, if you have not seen this before, is Dave Guskin, game director for Riftbound, jumping on the community Discord and answering some questions. So in regards to set 2 teasers, Dave says teasers pretty soon, ? After Origins launch. Pretty sure we're doing something cool to preview stuff at PAX Unplugged, which is in Philly. So we're going to have a couple of weeks to breathe with Origin set release cast, and then let's get right into Spirit Forge.
No breathing at all. No breathing at all.
Okay,
but that's just the nature of it's, the release in China being desynced from us. Eventually, we'll all be on the same page. But for now, those are going to be coming out for the Chinese audience who have had Riftbound Origins for a little while and are ready for their next set to come through. And we will just be able to see those cards well in advance and start planning for the future. PAX Unplugged being the exact same dates as SCGCon in Vegas. So we'll react to these live probably on the broadcast in some way, shape, or form, whether it's live as in we pull it up because it's happening while we're in a break, or we just immediately plug and play all those assets as they show up. Surely we'll be able to be talking about this soon enough. I don't know how much you already know or can comment about teasers, but other than just excitement of the upcoming set, Jim.
I know a lot of things that I will not. That's about where we're going to finish that sentence. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this question is pretty tough for Jim, I think.
Well, no, Jim. This is your territory. It's a week after release, and the next set is already coming out. This is just magic encapsulated, right? We just jumped right to 2025.
The desync is pretty weird. Like having the China release and the US release being off is strange. Hopefully they line up at some point. But yeah, that is what it is. I think that Magic players, card game players in general, are used to things coming out pretty quickly. So that's exciting too. It's a new game. It's also like, everyone's really hungry and excited. There's no fatigue at all yet. Just give me more. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll get there. Once the I'm waiting for the TMNT Riftbound set to come out in 2035. Actually, no joke. I actually would like that. Anyway, next one here, Dave on Discord. And this is one that may relate directly to you, Jim. It says, Dave says, how far ahead is my team? Dave says, pretty far ahead. Cards take quite a while to print. I won't say exactly what sets we're working on, but I will say it's hard to keep launching the game plus future sets in my head all at once. I imagine, Jim, this is kind of how you're feeling almost exactly right now. Yeah,
it's funny. So, of course, the question that me and Yane and Kibler and all had internally was, are we allowed to play in events? Because we're, happens a lot where playtesters or whatever, people work on the game aren't allowed to play. And they discussed it and they were like, yeah. And like, it's funny because once that was answered, I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I haven't actually played Riftbound. I'm a player on cards that don't exist yet, that are do different things, like I've been playing kind of a different game. So yeah, it's certainly interesting for me. There aren't many people in the world who are coming to Riftbound with a perspective that I have on it. So I need to unlearn some stuff and learn some new stuff. And it's pretty fun.
That's great.
Yes. What do you think about how how far ahead the team
Oh,
may
I
or
mean,
may
it
not
just
be.
makes sense. I mean, this is something that anytime I've talked to a dev of any game, whether it's a TCG or not, this is kind of how it works. You're always a few sets ahead, right? TFT caster since set one. When I've talked to devs about that game, they've said in interviews, they have like half the team is on 2 sets ahead of the other half of the team that's working on the next set, right? So you always are working on something that is coming down the pipeline. And I mean, even talking to Dave at Gen Con, he had all these ideas for what future sets could look like without even any gameplay attached to that, just concepts of what a set could be. And he even mentioned his 20 set plan previously, right? It's no surprise that there's so much rattle inside Dave's head right now that certainly he's having to jump through hoops when talking about the game in interviews to not spoil anything.
Yeah, this is something I've thought about as well, where it's like, this is my like biggest fear, because like it's so exciting for me who knows nothing about the new sets to see all the new cards. It's like, yeah, man, that's just old stuff. The set too, like we've been done with that for like 2 years. Like, who cares about these cards? It's like you got to drum up that excitement. And I'm sure that there's other forms of excitement there, but I don't know. Maybe my mind has been poisoned by instantaneous Magic releases.
It's the second layer of excitement. The excitement when you see it and you create it, and then the excitement to see the reactions of everybody seeing your product that you made.
Okay. It's usually when I create things, the looks on people's faces are not excitement. They're
shock and horror. Yeah,
and horror. Yeah, as what? Yeah, no, definitely cool. It's just awesome to like to see the team. Obviously, I mean, like logically that they're working on stuff in the future, but it's just nice to see that confirmation and like, oh yeah, this is like a big vision, not just like, yeah, we're flying by the seat of our pants. We're going to release a set, and then another one's going to come out if we sell enough packs. Like,
I will say,
they've got the
one thing I feel I can say is that they are very serious about this game. This is not like a flash in the pan. Like, this is a game that everyone in that building, it feels really, really strongly about and really passionately about, and they are definitely very serious about it. And the care that goes into it, is very, very apparent.
And that is awesome. Okay, last one here for Dave on Discord. This is a two for one here as they relate here. We've got Dave being asked about overnumbered cards always being legends. It says not always. And the second one is alt arts for non-champ cards, and says very likely yes. So overnumbered cards are not always going to be legends, and we may just see alt art cards for cards like Fallen Star and other like staple cards that aren't just champions and legends. So that's really cool to see.
Look, you're bringing up to the two of us who like playing min rarity here. So, it's very cool. I'm excited that these will happen. It'll be really fun for opening packs. I always enjoy it whenever I actually do open product. It's like fun to see them. And then I will put them in a binder, and then I will get my min rarity cards, and I'll sleeve them up for my deck.
Call me when they have non-foil rares, please. All right. No, that's the variant that I want.
I like foils, and I like having cool versions of cards, but them being specifically only foil, just like logistically, is weird to me, because
hopefully they don't curl.
Hopefully they're not Pringles, because then it's like you literally don't have a choice. Like, I had to do that for Flesh and Blood because the Eye of Ophidia, I don't know if it still is, Cass, you can confirm or deny this. Like, literally Eye of Ophidia only in foil, at least when I was playing.
Had cold foil. Yeah, cold foils usually didn't curl, but
cold foil, and I wasn't going to spend $3,000 for my PTQ.
Of course.
I mean, I got it for whatever number of hundreds of dollars it was at the time, but like that.
Yeah, you bought it for me.
I did get it from. That's right. I did get that from you. Yeah, that wasn't cheap. But that thing was pretty curled. Not through any fault of either one of us. It's just that's just what happens with foils, depending on what climate you live in and how the card was printed. But I literally had to foil out as much of my wizard deck as possible so that it was very clear I wasn't trying to cheat, because it was that curled even in double sleeves. Like, hopefully that doesn't happen with these.
No, I mean, I hope it's not the case, but also so many cards in Riftbound are just guaranteed foil that either you just like enough of them will be foil in the deck, or hopefully they're printed in a way that it's not going to cause a problem. I mean, it's really hard to say. We'll have to wait a couple months and see how some of these first foils are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, we will see. I will say quickly here, as someone who was a whatnot streamer for a number of years, like having those extra cards that are just fun to chase is a good thing. Like it makes opening packs more fun, and people opening packs is just a good thing. I think overall for the community and for the economy of the game in general. But we're going to move on here to our favorite segment here and final segment of the show. It is the mailbag here. And if you want to be on our mailbag, make sure you leave a comment on the YouTube version of this video. The first one comes from Ulysses 2134, who says, what are some keywords you think will exist in the future? Just going off of the League of Legends glossary, I think that there will be a rooted keyword that doesn't let a unit move for X amount of turns. Cass, anything that comes to mind here, maybe from League or just in general?
I mean, I think rooted is a cool call out from Ulysses. I think it makes sense in a game that isn't revolving around a lot of movement between battlefields that may be a keyword that exists in the future. Another one that I was thinking about is a keyword that allows you to like reveal your opponent's hidden card to gain information, right? See what the hidden card that they've put on a battlefield is, and I think that's something that could be really unique. I also think I think at some point, I don't know if it's a keyword or card type, but like surely you get items. It's so core to League of Legends that you would have items that like equipment type of thing kind of makes sense. So I think like equipment or equip just as a keyword or something like that. Because like Magic has artifacts and stuff and equipment that you can put on stuff. I think maybe it's just like similar to that we'll see. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what keyword exactly I'm looking at, but those are two effects that I feel like make sense to show up in Riftbound at some point.
This is very fun for
this
me.
may now be a loaded question.
Yeah,
this is very fun for me to watch. I obviously have no comment on this. This is very fun to watch.
Fair.
No, that's great. We just say these words, say these things I think might show up, and then look at Jim. Just look at Jim's camera.
I got
how many
times
face.
he blinks.
And he's blank. He's blank. He's got nothing.
Morse code is he blinking? So the one that I thought of that has nothing to do with League necessarily, but that is a axis that Riftbound specifically could go into that not really any other games could, is like creation of another battlefield in game. Like if you made another battlefield that maybe only you could go to, or that is like a temporary battlefield or something like that. That is something that like Galactus in Marvel Snap did the opposite, which is like destroying battlefields.
I love Galactus.
Maybe we do that. I won so many games when Galactus first came out because the way that the card, like you would just randomly get the ability to buy the card, and I got it on day one, and like it took weeks for people to play around that card. I just absolutely farmed. But maybe if you could create, a unit that creates, or a card that creates another battlefield that you can get a point off of, and maybe it can't be the winning point or something like that. I don't know how you'd balance that, if that's too good or not good enough, but that's something that like
it's a cool idea, right?
Doesn't really make it doesn't make sense really in Magic. It's, I guess, kind of like Planeswalkers, where it's like another thing you can attack. I don't know, maybe there could be something like Planeswalkers, or I don't know, but yeah, that's the one for me that jumps out in terms of things that Riftbound could do inherently that other games wouldn't really be able to replicate in the same way. But our last question here is from 09 K-Town Kid. It says, question, do you think in the future will they make some champions or legend cards with a different effect? Like, for example, Quinn and Valor. Quinn has one effect, and if you flip it over to Valor, there's a different effect. You can see this happening with certain characters who have animal changes. I'm realizing again that this is probably a loaded question for Jim.
That Jim can't answer.
Well, but Cass, I mean, the first thing that jumps out to me with this question is like that was essentially lore with level ups, right? Like that was our whole mechanic.
Surely, like, do you think in the future will they do this? And I think very commonly the answer is like yes. Like surely, like at some point where like flip cards make sense. I don't know how long that we are away from that, but I think it's like it's this funny evolution of TCGs as they start to kind of think about what the next mechanic should be. And you're churning through a bunch of mechanics, and at a certain point, flip cards, split cards, whatever. Like you kind of get to these places, and I think it's pretty natural in Riftbound with, I think, the example, Quinn and Valor, Nidalee's form changes, Jace's form changes. There's a couple options that this could make very logical sense and eventually show up.
Yeah. So, sorry, Jim. I was not thinking about these.
No worries.
And your ability to comment on them when they.
you get nothing out of this, all right? Nothing.
No.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I do think. The ones you mentioned, Cass, are good. I would also like to see like maybe there's just, and this kind of maybe ties in the other one, just like a status of like, this is the fed version of the champ. Like, I mean, Draven kind of embodies this where it's like, oh, you have more points. He's fed. He's stronger. Yeah. But maybe there's like a mechanic around that. I don't know. Or like you can play Draven, this version of Draven, or like Draven who was solo farming and got a bunch of free kills in the early game and the team inted, and that's like his little title.
Yeah, Vygar making his spells do more damage later in the game in some way, shape, or form, whether that's through points or something else. Yeah, there's lots of options there, Blev, but that's all we got. I want to give the floor to Jim, though, one more time, if there's anything else that you'd like to say or shout out.
Shout out. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say again that was actually a very fun segment for me, just kind of like, I know things and you don't know things, and this is fun watching you speculate about things. So, but yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It was really, really fun. You know, I didn't mention the name of my channel I'm going to be working on. It's going to be called Arcane Academy, which is really, really cool. Look for that on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram for like video shorts, and then full videos, YouTube main platform. And I'll see you guys in Vegas. I'm sure I'll pop by and say hi. And talk to Anu a bit as well. Are there events on Friday in Vegas?
Not that we're aware of from SCG. If they're doing any side events or stuff, we don't know. We just know about the 10K. Though you can come hang out while we're setting up, and we can play some games of Riftbound.
Maybe
so.
That sounds awesome.
Internal turn them sideways draft. Huh?
Yeah, there we go.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Love it. But again, thank you, Jim, for coming on. That is going to be it for the show. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to be on the mailbag, make sure you leave your questions here. And also, hey, you know what? If you have a content creator or someone that you'd like to see on the show, let us know. We can reach out to them or, pester them incessantly on our behalf. And don't show them.
Don't do that.
Don't show them this clip of me asking that. Edit this part out. And we will do our best to get him on the show. But that is going to be it for this episode. For our wonderful guest, Jim Davis, for Casanova, for everyone on the Turn 'em Sideways channel. I've been Blevins. We'll see you.